Hey, welcome back. This is part 4 of our trailer hitch series. During 1, we made everything that was in the green, this kind of bent piece of angle, the trailer hitch ball, a split washer, flat washer, a hex nut. We also cut some threads on there. Part 2, we did the piece of square tubing that actually met up with the piece of angle, another piece of square tubing for the receiver, the hitch pin, and a collar. And in part 3, we did this everything that's going to be in blue, also the hairpin that goes inside of the hitch pin itself. Today's lesson, we are going to save these bodies out because everything that was modeled into one part file. We didn't save any of the file. We didn't merge any of the results, so we have 14 separate bodies out here that we need to save out. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. If you don't have these parts modeled up, you can look at part 1, 2, and 3. That's going to be in the description below, and we'll let you catch up with this. So I look over here at solid bodies, and I do have 14 of them, so I'm going to expand this out. And with that expansion, I've already named mine. The way that you would name them is you would click on them, and it's going to allow you to go in and change these things. So I've named just 1, 2, 3, all the way down to 14. And the reason for that is I really don't want to have to keep up with calling this a ball and the other split washer and everything else. So what I need to do now is actually need to save all of these bodies out. You also want to make sure that you're in a folder, that the folder will be able to accept this and you'll be able to go out and find these at a later date. If you have PDM software, then you're going to be able to have these things in separate folders and be able to keep track of them. It's somewhat difficult. I wouldn't say difficult, but you really need to make sure what folder you're in and where you go and grab these files. So I'm going to come up here to where the solid bodies are, and I'm going to right click on that, and then I'm going to select Save Bodies. So when we do that, I want it to also automatically assign the names to the bodies, and it should be 1 through 14. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to select this little Save button, and sure enough it calls them 5, 1, 7. It just depends on what I did to whatever part last to the order that it's going to keep them in. I'm also going to consume these cut bodies, so at the end of this all of these will disappear, and then if I ever have to make any modifications to them, I'm going to have to go into the part files themselves that this is going to create and modify those. So I'm going to go ahead and accept this, and it should take just a moment or two for this to save everything out. There's a lot going on here with 14 part files. These are relatively straightforward files, so it shouldn't be too difficult on the system itself. You can see it's actually working and saving each individual file. Right, so after it saved everything, you notice we have saved bodies down here at the bottom of our tree, and it shows you the parent-child relationship for everything. What we want to do now is I actually want to create an assembly. So I'm going to come up to select a new. I'm in a part file. I want to make sure that I'm in an assembly, and I select OK. Now these files should be located in a folder that I'm very easily accessible. If I pick junk part number 4, which I named mine, it doesn't really get anything because I did consume the body. So I'm going to browse for the file. And one reason why I named them just in order is I can select part 1, and then I'm just going to open it. And notice I have the trailer hitch ball, and I want to place it out here, but I don't really want to just place it in the paper space or the modeling space anywhere. I want to come up and I want to use this green check up here, and what's going to happen is it's going to place that where I modeled it. So you notice it moved it down, and it also has this F up here where the part is actually fixed in space. So it's fully defined, and it's ready for the next piece. So let's come up here to where it says Insert Components. I want to insert a component. I'm going to browse for my file, and I want to select part 2. Part 2 is going to be this little piece of angle, but if I place it out here anywhere, it's going to make me have to assemble it. I really don't want to do that because I model it in one file just for that reason. So I come up and I use my green check selection, and it places it where I model it. Notice we're fixed and we're fixed, so I don't have to worry about any other relations. So let's go ahead and insert another component. So I have to browse for it. I want to select part 3. It's going to be our cut washer. Use the same green check. Sure enough, it placed it right where we modeled it. So let's go ahead and insert another component. Now notice I've got this thing rotated around. Let's just see what happens if it's rotated around, and we're going to insert another component. I think the next one should be the flat washer, but I'm not sure. So let's go grab part 4, and it is the flat washer. We use our green check, and it placed it where we model it. So we want to insert another component. We have to browse for the file. I want 5, and then OK. Accept it, and now I put the hex nut there. So rotate out just a little bit. I think that was everything that we did in section 1 video. So let's insert our next component. So we have part 1 through 5. We want to browse, so I think we need to grab 6. Open, and it's a collar. It's just going to be stuck out in the middle of nowhere. Not real concerned about it because we know that we've got these things individually named. So we're going to browse for another file. We got 6, so let's grab 7, see where it is, and accept it. And it placed it where we modeled it. The collar's hung out in the middle of nowhere, but it doesn't really care because it's not real life. So let's insert our next component. So we have 1 through 7. So insert component, browse. We would like part 8, and we want to go ahead and accept it, and I need to place it. So I think the next one should be the hitch pin, but there's no telling how I named it. Insert a component, browse, and I think we're at 9, and it is the hitch pin, so we place it in here. So let's rotate it around where we see what's going on, and I want to insert my next component. So we have parts 1 through 9 out here, so insert component. We need to go find part number 10, accept it, open, and it's going to be our hitch pin, and there it is. There may be a little interference error. I'll show you what I'm talking about when we get ready to move forward. So let's insert a component. We want to find part number 11, accept it, and it should be this cross member. I'm just going to come over here, use the green check, and it places it where we want it. Should be 3 more components, I believe. Let's browse. So we want part 12. Should be the ends right here. And we want to do again, so insert component, browse, 13, accept it. The other part that's going to mount to the frame, and now we need the bottom support that's going to hold the chains. Insert component, browse, and we want part number 14. So we use our green check again and accept everything. I'm going to use my Control 7 command to turn it into an isometric, and now we're ready to save this. So I'm going to save it as assembly. So we're going to do save all. It's actually going to save all the part files as well. I'm going to call this my junk trailer hitch, and then save. So that's it for the assembly. It's a lot easier to assemble these things when you model it inside of one particular part file and then save the bodies out, and then you can come back and modify these things as it goes. But now maybe we want to create an exploded view or something along those lines. So let's select exploded view. So we want to create some explosions on here, and I'll pick one of these part files. It's asking what direction we want it to go. I'm just going to drag this out. I'm good with that. So the next one that I want is this one here. Take my blue arrow and I want to drag it this way. I'm going to click this one. I want to grab my red arrow, drag it back. This piece, take my green arrow, drag it down. Next, I want this hitch pin. I want to drag it out. And now I want to click it again, and I want to drag it this direction. So I've made 2 moves with that. I click my hitch pin, and I'm going to drag it out this direction. Now I'm going to click this one and this one. So I've got both parts. I want to drag both of those out, and then I want to click just this one and drag it this way slightly. So these are part of my assemblies. We're going to make this exploded view, and sometimes your explosions don't work out like you planned. So I'm going to grab this, move it out here. Next, I'm going to leave this piece alone. I'm going to grab the hex nut, take my green arrow, drag it down. I'm going to take the flat washer, green arrow, drag it down. Split washer, I want to drag it down as well. And then I want to pick on the trailer hitch ball and I want to drag it up. So I'm going to use my Control 7 command, put everything back in isometric. So I got these just kind of positioned out. You can place them wherever you want. So I want to accept it. So these are all my explosion steps. So I've grabbed almost all 14 of my parts and done something with them. So let's go ahead and accept this. And now, if I want to take a look at this on how it looks like it's going to close up, I can come up to the very top and I can say animate collapse, and it shows how everything's going to be assembled together. So that's how our part would actually fit together. I hope that you enjoyed this portion of the video, and we will talk a little further about some animations and things if you want to clean it up. So that should be part 5. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.